everybody. Happy Father's Day. It's Jimmy Smith doing my post-fight breakdown for Blaydes versus Volkov. I just did a hit for ESPN, which is why I still have my grown-up clothes on. But anyway, good night on the main card. I went 4-1. Curse you, Jim Miller. It was cool to see him get the win, though, honestly. But anyway, I was the only one that went wrong for me. But let's go over them from top to bottom. Really, a lot of decisions, but very, very entertaining decisions, in my opinion. So, long night, but I thought entertaining fights. Let's start off at the bottom. The one that went wrong, Jim Miller, Roosevelt Roberts. As soon as Roberts threw that kick, got off balance and ended up on the ground, I went, this is not going to go my way. It was obvious. As soon as it was on the ground, which is exactly where Jim Miller wants it, and that's where he wants it early. Remember, they're not sweaty. You can get a guy kind of mentally out of his game early. It's not a long fight that's been back and forth, and a guy thinks, he can get out of a bad position pretty easily. As soon as it went to the ground early, I knew Roosevelt Roberts was in trouble. Great top pressure for Jim Miller. Went for the pass, and as he was trying to get out of bad position, Roosevelt bucked and just left his arm behind. And beautiful job stepping over, taking the arm, and it cracked pretty good. You could tell Roosevelt Roberts was holding on to it. After the fight, wasn't using it. That arm got hyperextended quite a bit. Beautiful armbar by Jim Miller. He won the way that if he was going to win, that's how he was going to do it. Was on the ground. Roosevelt Roberts made a mistake, and Jim Miller, a veteran guy, capitalized on it. So that's 0-1 for me on the first pick. Is it the end of the world for Roosevelt Roberts? No, he's just getting started. He took on the veteran guy, and he didn't pass that test, but he'll have plenty of tests in the future. What does it do for Jim Miller? It just kind of keeps him in the mix, showing that he can still beat relevant guys at 155 pounds. Of course, this was a catchweight at 160, but the problem is the division's just so good. I don't see Jim Miller rising up a whole lot. He's going to pretty much stay where he is as sort of a gatekeeper, mid-level kind of guy, and as long as he wants to stay there and make money, that's where he's going to stay. But Roosevelt Roberts, a little bit of a step back, obviously, but as I said, just getting started in his UFC career, losing to a veteran like Jim Miller, the first match of the main card of a fight night, it's not the end of the world. He'll learn a lot from this and end up better. So great performance by Jim Miller. Hats off to him, but he spoiled my perfect night. Belal Muhammad, Lyman Good. I thought Lyman Good won this fight. Even though I picked Belal Muhammad to win, and he did win, I thought Lyman Good won it. Now, it could be. I got to rewatch it. I thought the second round was close, but I thought Lyman Good won the second round when he cut Belal Muhammad over his eye. I really thought, and at the end, and of course, Lyman Good owned his ass in the third round. That could have even been a 10-8 round. I really thought, and they played the stats at the end where in the first two rounds, Belal Muhammad landed more significant strikes. I thought Lyman Good was doing more damage with his significant strikes. So I think it can be a little misleading when it goes, hey, this guy landed more significant strikes, but I thought Lyman Good hit him a lot harder. I thought his strikes were more significant than Belal Muhammad's strikes. So yeah, he landed more in the first two rounds, but I thought Lyman Good did more damage in the first two rounds. But at the end, I thought Lyman Good won the fight. But I have to rewatch it simply because what you see last sticks. And Lyman Good owned him in that third round. I got to objectively look at the first two rounds to see if I thought Belal Muhammad won them on a second viewing. But I thought Lyman Good won one of the first two rounds. I forget which one. Probably the second one. And so I thought he won the fight, but the judges thought Belal Muhammad won it. And so my pick ends up working for the second one. I thought Belal Muhammad would work the takedown better. It seemed like he didn't really get it going until like the end of round 3 and kind of garbage time. And I thought he'd be more tenacious with the takedown throughout the fight, and he wasn't. He got it a couple times, couldn't hold Lyman Good down, but he wasn't tenacious with it. He seemed a little too picky. He seemed to clinch a lot more than I thought he would, but didn't work his takedown well, but apparently did enough to win the fight. So Belal Muhammad over Lyman Good, so I was 1-1. Raquel Pennington, Marion Renault. It was close in the beginning, but as the fight wore on, Raquel Pennington just imposed herself more and more on Marion Renault. She was a veteran. She was experienced, physically a little bit bigger, a bit more aggressive. She landed the bigger punches. I thought it was clear past round 2 this was Raquel Pennington's fight. The judges agreed. What does it do for her? In a division that doesn't have very many names, you've heard me say it a million times, north of 115 is kind of a wasteland. Just staying in the mix is good enough to maybe get a title shot as fighters keep cycling through and Amanda Nunes keeps beating everybody up, provided she doesn't retire. So just staying somewhere near the top is good enough at the moment for Raquel Pennington. So she gets a win over Marion Renault. Not the most scintillating fight in the world, but the kind of that slow build I expected. That's what veteran fighters do. They see an advantage and they kind of press and press and press and take it over. And that's what she did physically as that fight wore on. She beats Marion Renault by unanimous decision. That's my second pick. Josh Emmett, Shane Burgos. Fight of the night. Great fight. Wow. So what was so interesting about this fight is Shane Burgos showed his versatility and his speed and his defense and his timing. Josh Emmett showed his power. That was the difference throughout this fight. What was so interesting to me is Josh Emmett was landing power punches throughout this fight, but they really didn't seem to have much of an effect until the third round. And a lot of fighters, when they land big punches, the way Josh Emmett was landing big punches on Shane Burgos, they start getting frustrated. Man, I'm hitting this guy with the kitchen sink and he's still here. And they'll switch to a different strategy, which isn't necessarily bad, but they'll switch it up, try something different. It was like Josh Emmett knew, look, if I just keep landing this thing, eventually I'm going to wear this guy down. And he did in round 3, knocked him down multiple times. I thought it was a 10-8 round, was just all over Shane Burgos. Couldn't deal with the leg kick. That's going to be a bad sign to me for Josh Emmett if I'm the coach of his next opponent. He didn't deal well with versatility. He didn't deal well with the leg kicks. He was off balance a lot, didn't deal well with the footwork. He's never been a particularly difficult target to hit. I mean, Shane Burgos was landing punches as well. It was like the more tools you have in your toolkit, the harder it is for Josh Emmett to deal with you. He just had no answer for leg kicks. A lot of times he would kick the leg just right out from under him. So his power was able to equalize the fight. That's not going to be the case all the time. And you're getting to better and better strikers and more versatile guys as you move up at 155. So Shane Burgos showed a lot of the vulnerabilities of Josh Emmett. Once again, he came out on top, but it's going to be tough moving up past this because now it's the top 5 guy, title contention guys, title eliminator type stuff. And those guys are super duper versatile and fast. So the versatility and speed of Shane Burgos was tough for Josh Emmett in the first 2 rounds. So anyway, Shane Burgos at the end, disappointed by the decision. I thought Josh Emmett won it. I thought it was the right call. But really incredible fight. Josh Emmett just stayed with his power until it finally worked and wore Burgos down. But great performance by him. And this is that water cooler fight the next day. This is a fight everybody's talking about. So that's great for Josh Emmett. So that's another one I picked Josh Emmett to win. Curtis Blaydes, Alexander Volkov. Curtis Blaydes did what I thought he was going to do, which is relentlessly take Alexander Volkov down. The brief times he did stand up, he looked good. Landed some good punches in Volkov. Got in trouble briefly. End of the 4th round? End of the 3rd round? I think it was the end of the 4th round. I'm not quite sure. Got in a little bit of trouble against Volkov. But other than that, he pretty much controlled it. Alexander Volkov really didn't have an answer for a simple double leg. That was kind of surprising to me. Blaydes didn't do anything fancy. There weren't a lot of crazy foot sweeps and trips and weird throws. It was kind of this blast double leg. He didn't even change his level that much. Kind of bowled forward, got the hips, got the knee, and took Volkov down almost every single time. And Volkov just... people talked about his takedown defense accuracy for Alexander Volkov. Well, his takedown defense is 80%. What great wrestlers has he fought? Last one he fought was Tony Johnson in Bellator, and the guy took him down pretty much at will. Sure, it's great in the UFC, but he hasn't fought any standout wrestlers in the UFC. It's been mostly strikers. Fabricio Werdum, of course, great jiu-jitsu, but not a tenacious wrestler who's going to go for it over and over and over again. So a lot of times, once again, like I said about the significant strike stats can be misleading. If you haven't fought a lot of great wrestlers, yeah, your takedown defense is going to be great. Those guys don't have great takedowns. The advantage for Curtis Blaydes is, other than Stipe and DC, he's the best wrestler in the division. So a lot of these guys coming up just haven't taken on a great wrestler until they take on Curtis Blaydes. So he's going to have that advantage. So Curtis Blaydes won a unanimous decision. Of course, Dana White critical of his performance afterward, partly because he's talking about fighter pay and title shots, and Dana doesn't like that kind of stuff. You can't take a performance like this away from him. He fought an elite heavyweight and owned him pretty much for 5 rounds. So the idea that this wasn't an exciting performance, he didn't do enough, I mean, once you speak out about fighter pay, Dana's going to criticize everything you do. That's going to be the issue. He's in a tough spot in that he's the number 4 guy, and he's kind of locked in at number 4. He's already lost to Ngannou twice. I don't think he beats DC or Stipe. So things are going to have to flush out for him to get a title shot. Meaning, they have the trilogy, DC and Stipe. Let's say, for argument's sake, Stipe wins and DC retires. Okay, that's one less out of the way. Ngannou gets another shot. Let's say Stipe beats Ngannou again. Then he might get a shot. So it might just take a while for the guys ahead of him to cycle out of their title shots. Then he might get one. He's just in a tough spot right now. And Dana White says he needs to stay busy and active, which is code for I want him to lose and not get a title shot. Curtis Blaydes rightly said, look, I've beaten guys who were ranked under me. All right, everybody I fought has been ranked under me. I've done my bit. I'm going to kind of wait for my title shot. And the problem is at heavyweight, one punch is the difference. These guys, even a bad puncher at heavyweight can knock you out. So Curtis Blaydes is going to stick around and take another risky fight against a guy ranked below him, or is going to sit around and wait for his title shot. UFC typically hasn't been a big fan of people waiting around for title shots. So I think he's probably going to have to take one more whether he wants to or not. Who knows who it might be, but they're all dangerous. But I don't see anybody below Curtis Blaydes beating him right now. So he's locked in that 4th spot, and he's eventually going to stay there until he gets a title shot, I think. So great performance by Curtis Blaydes. I got to talk about the Max Roshkoff-Austin Hubbard fight where Roshkoff tried to quit at the end of round 2, and Robert Drysdale, his coach, wouldn't let him and made him tell the referee it's over. I just finished talking to ESPN about it, and I was like, look, a coach needs to confirm that you don't want to keep going more, and then they have to take that bullet. They have to be the ones to go, fight's over, I'm stopping the fight. Don't make your guy tell the referee I quit, right? I mean, he checked several times. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. At that point, you got to stop the fight and save your guy having to do that. And so I think not enough coaches are taking a look at their fighters' long-term health and the long-term. Now, this beating wasn't that bad. I don't think it's a health issue, but a career issue. Meaning you've had 5 pro fights. That was your 6th. To your UFC debut, you took it on 6 days' notice. This loss ain't going to kill you. Look at your career in the long term. That's what a coach is supposed to do. Hey, this is all right. It's one fight. No big deal. We'll move past it. And it seemed like coaches are more emotionally into the fights than the fighters sometimes. And that shouldn't be the attitude. Chris Lieben, Uriah Hall, he tried to quit, and his corner was trying to talk him out of it. It's insane. Raquel Pennington, Amanda Nunes, and she wants to quit, and the corners are talking to her. The corner should be like, look, it's one fight. It's not the end of the world. You're just getting started your career. We'll be back. It's all right. You're out of gas. You took this on a week's notice. But Robert Drysdale made his guy tell the referee I quit, and that sucks. So corners need to be more comfortable taking that bullet and taking that criticism from any corner it can come from for their fighter. And I believe Robert Drysdale didn't do that, and it sucked to watch that. So that's how I feel about it. Anyway, 4-1, not a bad night. But Jim Miller, you stopped me from going perfect again, but I love you, buddy. Great watching you win. All right, I'll be back before the next one. Take it easy.